So, with Homelander coming to Mortal Kombat this week and The Boys Season 4 starting today, I thought it would be a perfect time to take a swing at power scaling the most powerful and popular character from the show, Homelander. The main issue with scaling Homelander, though, is that he pretty much loses to everyone from everything. He can't beat Omni-Man, he can't beat Spider-Man, he can't beat Deku, and he certainly can't beat Goku. So, who can actually be an interesting fight for one of the most messed up and evil parodies of Superman? Well, how about one of the supposedly weakest characters to exist within the universe of Dragon Ball? The world champ and savior of the universe himself, Mr. Satan. Both of them are known for having massive fan bases in their respective universes and are constantly manipulating and covering things up to protect their image. But if both of them were to fight, who would actually win? If you like this kind of stuff, make sure to like and subscribe to support the channel and to get more videos like this. With that out of the way though, let's jump right in. To begin, due to having arguably far more simple scaling, let's start with Homelander. As he was created as a very real analog to Superman, he has pretty much the same power set, but not nearly the same level of potency. He can fly, has enhanced strength and durability, has enhanced senses like hearing, x-ray vision, and even smell. His most potent ability, of course, is his heat vision, which is usually his most powerful option as an attack. When it comes to his combat skills, he's certainly not terrible, as he's able to compare to the likes of Queen Maeve, Billy Butcher, and Soldier Boy, who all have some degree of martial arts combat training. But this might still just be because he's stronger and faster than them, so he's able to compensate for his lack of skill. So speaking of his actual strength, how strong is Homelander? As a baseline, he is quite clearly stronger than every other superhuman character in the series, allowing us to just upscale from the feats of other weaker characters. And for the most part, a majority of Compound V enhanced superhumans sit around wall level. Multiple feats, from Maeve stopping a truck with her body, Black Noir tanking an explosion, and speedsters like A-Train's kinetic energy, all come out to only wall levels of power, despite how impressive they might seem. This is especially bad in general, given how these are all members of the Seven, who should be the most powerful heroes in the verse besides Homelander. However, the Homelander does obviously scale above this, and has his own feats. Most importantly, in the only canon episode of the show Boys Diabolical, Homelander is able to tank a massive chemical explosion with what seems to be slight difficulty, given how he gets completely laid out by it. While the explosion itself is multi-city block level in total power, Homelander himself only took city block levels of power from the attack due to his size. I honestly think city block levels of power is pretty consistent for him, given how Soldier Boy's tiny radioactive explosions were considered a real threat to Homelander, despite the fact that at best, it's a building level of explosion when we actually see it go off. Now, a lot of people believe that Homelander is capable of tanking nuclear bombs, based on the statement from Madeline Stillwell in Season 1, in which she says that every weapon on Earth has been tried against Homelander and have failed. If this is taken at the highest and potentially literal interpretation, then Homelander could be anywhere from city to mountain level of power, going off of the strongest nuclear bombs. However, nothing in her statement implies that these weapons have actually hit Homelander. All it says is that just for some reason, they weren't effective. Homelander not only is fast, but also has enhanced senses. So I find it, with the evidence we've already gone over, that it's far more likely that if a nuke has actually been fired or dropped on Homelander, it simply missed him because he dodged it. And again, when far smaller explosions are capable of knocking him around or even killing him, tanking a nuke seems extremely unreasonable. Speaking of his speed, unfortunately, pretty much no one besides him has any good speed feats. Even characters like A-Train at their peak are measured to be barely above the speed of sound, with Homelander's usual flight speed measured to be verbatim 1,800 kilometers an hour, which is almost exactly 1.5 times faster than the speed of sound, already surpassing the speedster. The only other feat for Homelander comes in Season 1 when he's able to blitz the explosion caused by a bomb vest, which puts him somewhere between Mach 10 and 18. Thus, Homelander is approximately city block level in power while having high hypersonic speed. Will this be enough to defeat Mr. Satan? let's get into it. Now, I've scaled Hercule before, and admittedly, I somewhat lowballed him by only using his feats and scaling from only Dragon Ball Z, which is not where his actual best feats come from. In DBZ alone though, Daizenshuu statements and on-screen feats already put Hercule at wall levels of power with transonic speed. However, he obviously scales nowhere near any relevant fighters, as he's not able to even see the movements of Cell Games level characters and can get hurt by bullets. However, in Dragon Ball Super, like many characters, Hercule gets substantially better feats, seemingly out of nowhere. Firstly, his reactions get immensely faster. Even characters like Gohan, whose power level could reach the thousands, needed to train and focus their ki in order to see the movements of Cybermen while fighting. Despite this, Hercule, without any ki or any training, is able to track almost infinitely stronger fighters like Buu, Base Goku, and Basil. Either way, this means Hercule is able to react to attacks and characters moving at speeds that are bare minimum massively faster than light. Unsurprisingly, just like his speed, Hercule's power seems to have increased as well. During the Zeno Expo, he's able to survive the shockwave and the explosion caused by a barrage of attacks from Basil. Even just one of these attacks blew a hole through Fat Buu. We also know that shockwaves in Dragon Ball absolutely do scale relative to the actual attacks and characters producing them, like Beerus and Goku's punches, attacks that use shockwaves for damage like Ultra Instinct, or just characters' air pressure forcing people to brace against it. While this attack causes Hercule to pass out from the damage, given that this version of Buu, at the lowest of low balls, is at least a galaxy buster. Even if Hercule took 1/1,000,000th of the power of the center of the explosion, it wouldn't be unreasonable to say that the force of the shockwave, at bare minimum, had planetary attack potency. Now, a lot of people might argue that this is the same as previous gag scenes, where he got punched by a suppressed Kid Buu in Cell, but unlike those scenes that are meant for obvious laughs, the scene in Super is played 100% seriously, and is extremely plot relevant, unlike the previous two. At worst, it makes it so his two previous feats against Cell and Buu actually become really consistent. Besides this though, Hercule doesn't really have any powers. He's certainly a martial artist and one of the best in the world besides the actual strong people. His real power comes from his capacity to scam, manipulate, and trick literally the entire population of a planet into thinking he's powerful and trustworthy. So, with all this being said, who wins this? Well, unfortunately, I don't think Homelander is getting a win anytime soon. While Hercule's strength is much more seemingly inconsistent, his highs absolutely dwarf any kind of scaling that Homelander could ever have or will ever get. It's very unlikely that Homelander could even land a hit on the super version of Hercule, and even if he did, Hercule might take literally 0 damage. The main issue though is that likewise, Hercule's actual attack power is somewhat lacking in comparison to Homelander. While he unironically could hit as hard as some of the other supes, he's not quite on Homelander's level when it comes to punches. But Hercule doesn't have to win just through punches. You see, Hercule oftentimes has gear with him that vastly exceeds his own power, and something he has with him is potentially powerful enough to damage or even kill Homelander in one hit. You see, when Hercule was trying to save the Earth and kill Fat Buu, he got a set of explosives together that were powerful enough to disintegrate a tank. Even just melting a tank is approximately a city block level feat, and the vaporization required to disintegrate it would be even more substantial, arguably putting the power of Hercule's bombs at town level of attack potency, literally nearing the potency of low-level nuclear bombs, and more than enough to exceed anything Homelander has ever done or tanked himself. So, if it was a fair fight, Hercule might not have a way to hurt Homelander, but Hercule never plays fair, so the champ blitzes, tanks, and scams his way to a victory, and proves that he is smarter, stronger, and better. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As always, if you disagree with my takes, let me know in the comments down below. See ya.